I am joined by both Vince D'Addario and Bobby Hensley in hour number 2. Boys!
I'm here. There I am.
I'm not sure if that microphone's working. Bobby, pull that closer.
Hi, how are you?
There we go. It was another matter of a button being pushed. It was operated.
Well, nobody wanted to listen to him anyway, so it's okay.
That's
As long as Vince and I are on the same page, we're okay. Neither one of us want to hear the other one.
That's right. That's right. All right, enough small talk. We've got a lot of things to talk about in this hour. There's Michigan bashing to do. I
mean,
can assure you.
That's why I'm here. I'll tell you
people
right now.
Who are in the room or on the microphone right now. The NCAA dropped down its penalties on Michigan for the Connor Stallions sign stealing scandal today. Stallions received an 8-year show cause. Former Wolverine head coach Jim Harbaugh got a 10-year show cause. That basically means that neither one of those guys can be hired by a college for those amount of times. Head coach Sharon Moore is going to serve a 3-game suspension this season. They were self-imposing 2 games. The NCAA gave him an extra game. There's also going to be a lot of money in a fine that's expected to be between 20 and 30 million bucks. There's a $50,000 initial levy, 10% of the football budget, 10% of the cost of football scholarships for this season, and the loss of all postseason competition revenue sharing for the 2025 and 2026 seasons. Stallions also was found to have arranged the illegal scouting of at least 13 future Michigan opponents on at least 58 occasions from 2021 to 2023. So I'll just go ahead and start with Vince. We'll work our way around. Are the penalties too much, not enough, or just right for Michigan?
They are somewhere between the right amount and not quite enough for me. Like, I'm not going to say, it's a slap on the wrist, because it's not. I mean, $30 million is not a slap on the wrist. Like, that's a legitimate amount of money.
It's the biggest monetary fine I've ever heard for anything like this.
So, like, that's legit. Like, I have no problem with that. Given Harbaugh a 10-year whatever and Stallions an 8-year what, Jim Harbaugh's never going to coach in college again.
And Stallions wasn't going to either for that.
Correct. I mean, it probably hurts Stallions maybe more than it would Harbaugh, because I don't know what his job prospects actually are. I think he's coaching high school football right now. So, maybe that hurts him a little bit more than it would. It doesn't hurt Jim Harbaugh at all, first of all. I would be very clear on that. And the losing out on postseason revenue, considering the Big Ten's going to get like 4 teams in, and that whole thing, like those are legit. Hit him in the pocketbook. I'm cool with that. I wanted as much as it doesn't matter, it matters. I wanted wins taken away. I wanted some wins taken away.
This is what I don't get.
Well,
go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say, Vince, do you feel like they should be forfeiting their championship or any games or any wins?
I mean, if they're going to take wins away for 2 years from Notre Dame because somebody wrote a paper for a couple of kids,
Everett Golson, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, there was more than Everett Golson. I mean, there was
it was more than that, right? It was a handful of kids, right? And Notre Dame self-imposed, like they reported that on their own, like they said, "Hey, we messed up, whatever," and they took away 2 years worth of wins. Like, that's legit. They should be taking some wins away from Michigan. That's where I'm at.
But if you take away wins, are you saying if you take away any wins, that means they don't get to keep their championship?
100%. Bye. Like, they won some of those games that got them to the national championship because they cheated.
What they did here was worse than like the Fab Four or the Fab Five.
Absolutely.
When and like banners were lost, and
it was also worse than Reggie Bush and what USC did.
Yeah,
they got it.
This actually directly related to wins and losses. It wasn't off-field recruiting type stuff.
Correct.
No, I was going to ask that question to both of you guys. What do you think about USC? Do you think when they had their championship and their Heisman's lost, was that stiff enough penalty for them back then? And how do you think that compares to now with Michigan? Either one of you.
And that's exactly it. Like, they technically had a championship stripped from them, right? And Reggie Bush had a Heisman Trophy stripped from him. And again, this was for a recruiting, or
it's legal now.
It was impermissible benefit. He took he got into a house, but given to by an agent or
impermissible benefits.
Right. Yeah, impermissible benefits.
Exactly.
Correct.
the stuff that Connor Stallions did and the stuff that they obviously found Jim Harbaugh to be culpable of, and the current head coach, by the way, like if these two guys are getting 8 and 10-year show causes, why is the current head coach only getting a 3-game suspension? Because they obviously found him to be guilty to at least some extent in all of this as well. So what, why the difference there? That's what I don't get. Michigan, to Vince's point about the academic stuff that Notre Dame did, when they self-reported,
right,
by the way,
right,
Michigan did and especially Jim Harbaugh did everything that he could to try to hide from this and be as evasive as possible in all of this. Why is Michigan not paying a stiffer cost? Now, again, the monetary thing is pretty much unprecedented. I've never heard of like $20 to $30 million. It's the first time I've heard of anything this close.
Yeah, that's massive. And I give credit for that part.
But they should be forfeiting wins and a championship as a result.
100%.
Right. If you're going to penalize them, what are you penalizing them for? Something that happened during their championship season, right? Absolutely. So how can you say that the games are fine and, we're going to let you keep all that? Do you think the penalty would be different if Harbaugh was still there? Because he obviously left knowing what was coming down the pipe.
I think it would have to be.
I think the penalty would be different if they didn't win the championship. I think they are vacating wins. If
you think they would have vacated if it was
the whole season?
Possibly. Yeah.
You have to. I think you have to.
I think they're tiptoeing around the fact that they won the title. And so they don't want to, take that away.
Yeah.
And so basically Michigan's paying $30 million for a title. That's basically what this is amounting to. Because look,
there's precedent now. Now we can say, if you get fined enough money, you can keep all your wins.
Yeah.
You don't think that's right?
No. And look, USC got scholarships taken away.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
crippled them for years later.
Correct. Let's cripple these guys. Cripple them. Cut them out at the knees.
And I know the money is a fine, but like get rid of some scholarships.
Yes.
Don't give them that amount of money that they have to lose. Cut how many scholarships they can have.
Yeah.
They messed up. They went in the wrong. They were illegal.
And
we're telling them if you pay it enough, we're okay.
And they tried to hide it too. Like that's the other thing. They were not upfront about it. They're like, our bad.
And almost funny about it.
Exactly.
They almost, to your point, Vince, they almost like laughed about it. Like, yeah, but we won.
Right.
Exactly.
And they're being.
I don't like when I agree with Vince.
Well, I mean, when
John in the YouTube chat says they should be banned from the postseason. I mean, I'm not as concerned about that. I think, like to me, the wins needed to be vacated more than them being banned from the postseason because they're going to lose all the money. Even the indirect money. Like they're going to lose their share of Big Ten postseason revenue from like Ohio State and Penn State and whoever else.
Those are big,
but they're losing out.
Who does that hurt though?
It hurts Michigan.
In what way though? I mean, that's not enough. That's not enough.
They have enough. $30 million in today's world.
I'm okay with that.
That's a lot.
I think that I do think that that's enough. Sure. I think scholarships should have gone. I think that wins should have gone. And they said something in the report about how they didn't want to, the current people on the staff or the current kids on the team didn't have anything to do with it and they didn't want to punish those kids. Then take away the wins. Punish the people that were here then.
Right. That's why you take away wins. And, when has that, like the NCAA, maybe it's the evolution of the NCAA because like that kind of stuff never mattered before because it was typically once you go through this investigation process, it was always the current, like to what John is saying, a postseason ban, like it has always been that kind of thing that's happened. Now, the NCAA has essentially tried to steer away from postseason bans recently, with any of these different kind of things. So I don't mind them not banning Michigan from the postseason. I just think that there should have been stiffer for what happened. But to Vince's point, I think the reason they did this is because they did win the national championship and they don't want to strip their national championship is what it comes down to.
Yeah, but now you're almost telling them they got away with it because like Vince said, you paid for it. You paid for your own way out of doing all these illegal things. Yeah. And any other team, school, whatever, that year, they got in trouble for stuff or did stuff illegally. Doesn't matter because Michigan, they did it better. And what bugs me about that year is they only had to win 2 games to get to the playoff. And then So it wasn't like they were like the number one all year dominant team. They had a weak schedule and they beat Ohio State and made the playoff.
By the way, at his post-game press conference after the national championship, Harbaugh was asked what it means to be a Michigan man, and part of his answer, quote, "You don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal."
And then he
End
left
quote.
town.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so a question yesterday from Salty Virginia Peanuts in the YouTube chat that we didn't get to. I guess he actually asked it on the Champions Lounge for the We In, We Out show. The biggest question, Salty, in the Big Ten this year is Michigan. They were much better in the second half of Moore's first season as head coach. If they carry that level of performance forward, beating Ohio State again, Sharon Moore will be the Big Ten Coach of the Year. Bobby, are you in or out on that?
I'm out because he's not even going to, if they continue to win games and stuff, he's not even there for a quarter of the season, right? With all the sanctions and stuff. The whole Michigan thing, I just don't, I think they bought their championship. They went around the rules. They got everything done. They're not going to be what they were before. So to me, it doesn't even matter because you got to play by the rules. And they've opened up the rules so much. You can pay players. You can get these scholarships. I don't think that that's fair.
I don't think he's a great coach to begin with, and
Right.
He's obviously going to be missing from a few games. I think it's 2 this year and 1 in 26, but regardless, he's going to miss 3 games. They're going to win the Central Michigan game. Stop the presses. Doesn't matter if Sharon Moore is there or not. I think the other one is like Nebraska or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty good chance of winning that one too. But again, I don't know that this Michigan. First of all, Michigan team is way overrated. If he gets this team into the playoff, give him the coach of the year. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if that's not, I don't think that's going to happen. And so, no, he's not a coach of the year candidate. In my opinion.
What did he earn to be the head coach, or did he just fall into it because Harbaugh left?
I think it fell into his lap because they were scrambling. Right.
Because Harbaugh was suspended for a couple games last year, and Sharon Moore was the interim coach.
The same
while
games,
Harbaugh was suspended.
The same Central Michigan game, the same,
but I'm saying,
Michigan. Yeah.
Like that's you asked how he got the job. I think
Yeah.
that is part of how he got the job.
Sean, he was passionate about Michigan, about Jim Harbaugh, and we got to see a grown man cry on national television. So that's why he got the job.
Vince, I've seen you cry about someone stealing cookies away from you at a press box, so I'm not sure.
But I wasn't on national TV. Wasn't on national TV, okay?
I don't think that they're the biggest question, though. Like, I think, are they because the question from Salty was the biggest question mark in the Big Ten is Michigan. I think really it's Illinois and Indiana. I think those are the 2 biggest question marks this year.
Well, and he said in the chat here, he said not coach of the year for college football, just coach of the year for the Big Ten.
Right. Yeah, if he gets them to the playoff, I absolutely think that he'll probably be the Big Ten coach of the year. But again, I think Illinois and Indiana are bigger question marks. Is Indiana going to come anywhere close to duplicating what they did last year? And is Illinois going to be able to live up to all the preseason hype that is on them coming into the season? That is largely based on, let's be honest, beating South Carolina in a bowl game last year when I don't know exactly who had what players at that. But that's a large part of why Illinois has so much hype on them, I think, coming into this season, because they beat a decent South Carolina team in the bowl game last year.
And then you have to look at how much you value bowl games. I know that you just said that, but like how many players are in it and what is their motivation during it? Even if you have the good players, do they really care?
Well, and that was, because of what happened at the end of last year, and you had South Carolina and media saying that they should have been in the playoff and everything else, and then they go lay an egg in the postseason, and it's like, oh well, then Michigan must, Illinois must be really good then because they beat a hot South Carolina team. There are a lot more issues to that statement than the reality of it. So,
yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, as you're saying, like, we don't know anything. And like, there's so much change every year on the rosters, like, and with transferring.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so you don't know how motivated they are during the bowl game, but then you also don't even know who's going to be there and how good they're going to be. But like, I think Illinois, I don't know if this is the direction we're supposed to go. But I think Illinois, they're going to start losing early, and then
The direction you go is never the direction we're supposed to go.
Well, that's why I
Do
always
the opposite, Bobby.
That's why I always try to find you, Sean.
Come
you
on,
keep me on the
George.
rails. You put me right in the middle. If I could think like you, I'd be better.
I don't know about that. Fill in the blank. A second season of the docu-series, Here Come the Irish, will follow Notre Dame football again this season. It's blank that it won't drop on Peacock until December 8th. Vince, blank stare. Go ahead.
It's bogus. Okay. Like, at least they teased us with a couple of episodes early on
Right.
last time. You know, we got to see some camp stuff, some summer stuff, you know, that guy, you know, how they pick the captains, you know, they at least teased us with a couple episodes prior to the season last year. And then it got us through kind of that off period after Notre Dame was done. We got some more stuff, and then we got more after the postseason. So they did a great job of it last year. Why are they waiting till December now? Come on, give me something. I blame Peacock.
I think it's always that, right? They know they must have a reason why, but I feel like the perfect week to start releasing episodes would be on the bye week because there's no game. There's something to watch.
Good point,
there.
Bobby.
That's a great point, Bobby.
First good point today. Congratulations.
Ever, you might say. But I just think that would be the perfect time to start it because wow, I got a bell.
You got the bell, baby.
Bell is back.
But, I mean, I don't like waiting till after the season. If you're a fan, you're going to watch the games and you already know what happened. I think releasing it after the season is almost worthless. There's no way there's that many likes, that many views of that stuff after the season. I think you need to do it during the season. And if you can't turn it around in a week or two, like Hard Knocks does, then I don't know what the point is.
Well, I understand why they don't do it during the season because it is college and, you know, it's an in-house production and they can obviously control the message much better by waiting until the end of the season to determine exactly how they want to edit and what they want to show and all that stuff. But I like your point about the bye week. That felt like not having a game coming up that week after Miami because you've got that dead week in between Miami and Texas A&M. That felt like a perfect week to drop like one or two episodes as a teaser because, I mean, look, you just came off a season that saw you go to the national championship game and like everything that's happened in, you know, in the off season, in the meantime, that's what the first couple episodes of last year were about anyway. So like, I feel like that would have been the perfect time. It's a little, also, it's more than disappointing. I think that you got to wait all the way until December for it.
Yeah, and plus when you get to December, you have so much going on. There's so much stuff to watch. All the people are watching the Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But I'm joking. But like everybody's got their own family traditions, and you're gearing up for the playoffs. So hopefully Notre Dame's already a part of. So you don't need to see week one against Miami, maybe. Like, I don't think that any of it makes sense to wait that long.
Bobby O'Shea asked, what's this year's Peacock game? It is the North Carolina State game this season, and that will be the week after Boise State, October 11th. That'll be the Peacock game this year. There's another question we didn't get to yesterday from Josh. He says the Notre Dame, this is a we in, we out question. The Notre Dame offense will have more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns this season. In or out on that, pondering Vince D'Addario.
I'm out. I think they're going to be a ground and pound game. And I think that the quarterback's going to get into the end zone a few times on his feet. And I think that, you know, the combination of Love and Price and, you know, Logan James, you know, I just think that there's a lot of guys that are going to get their hands on the football and get across the goal line on their feet. So I'm going to say I'm out.
I don't like that we're agreeing so much, Vince. That's not our vibe, but I'm out as well because they're just inherently, if you get close to the goal line, you're not going to keep throwing it. You're going to run it in, and you have one of the best rushing attacks of any college football team. Why wouldn't you just run it in and pound them down and wear them out and get more touchdowns that way?
They had almost twice as many rushing touchdowns last year as passing touchdowns. 45 rushing touchdowns, 24 passing touchdowns.
It'll be closer.
Because you're taking Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
You're taking Riley Leonard out. Now, I think we do expect Jeremiah Love to have at least a few more touchdown runs this season. I would expect Jadarian Price to have more this year as well. But it's just that's a lot, you know, because like even even if the rushing touchdowns drop to 30, do we think that the quarterback, a first-time starting quarterback, having this kind of running attack at his back is going to, be 30-plus touchdown passes? I think that's a big number for a first-time starter to get to this year. So I've got to be out on that as well.
No. Well, I was just going to say, I think you're absolutely right. There's so many reasons. I don't even know why that would be comparable. I think that 30 touchdowns for a rookie quarterback is not going to happen.
So we got some news after Notre Dame football practice today about who the punt and kickoff returners are going to be this season. Talked a little bit about this in the first hour of the show. Here is Marty Biagi.
Will Pauling and Faison have done a great job at as the punt returners, with Dallas Golden getting a lot of work back there as well. Aeneas Williams and Jane Grayhouse, probably those five have really stood out. At kick return, we've had Price and Love as the main two guys back there. And so, even when you talk to J1 and you look, the two returners that were in the game versus us in the last, in the Orange Bowl, they were the two starting running backs. So, if we're gonna spend time and block it up, we want to get our best athletes back there that we know can hit it. Nolan James has done a great job.
All right, scale of 1 to 10. How big a deal is it that both Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are going to be returning kickoffs this season? Bobby?
I think that I was looking at Vince. He just captivates me so much.
He mesmerizes you.
I was pointing at you. You take this one.
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't know. I'm always a fan of saving your best athletes for during offense. I understand you might bust one a year, but is that worth it with the risk? You think it is? You think it's worth the risk of having them kick return all year long and maybe getting hurt?
I don't think they're going to be back there for every kickoff return.
Well, then what's the point? Like, so you're saying in the big games,
because when they are on the field, they are both home run threats, and there's a decision, that the guy on the other side of the ball has to make. Who are we going to kick to if we can't kick this to the end zone? Because a lot of teams are doing the fair catch thing these days. But if I'm Notre Dame and I've got Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love back there, I'm not fair catching if that ball's not going into the end zone. I want those guys going as much as possible. To your point, Rocket Ismail didn't seem to suffer from it. Tim Brown didn't seem to suffer from it when they were playing full-time on offense and returning kickoffs, and they were major factors in the game. That's like Marcus Freeman has prioritized special teams, and I love this decision. What do you think, Vince?
Oh, it's off the charts for me. When I was driving home and listening to you and Mr. Hansen talk about this, when I heard the Marty Biagi cut, I was like, okay. Like, I was shocked, but shocked in a great way. You put those two guys back there, other team, like if I'm the special teams coordinator and I see 4 and 24 back there, I'm telling my kicker to either kick it through the end zone or kick it out of bounds. I don't even care. You are not letting those two guys return kicks. And that is a strategy, and that isn't a benefit to Notre Dame.
I love that Bobby O'Shea in the YouTube chat is calling out Bobby Hensley. Bobby Bubble Boy Hensley. Let's just put them all in bubble wrap. Put them all in bubble wrap. This is not tackle football anymore. Let's protect everybody. Come on.
Home runs, baby.
That's right.
Home runs are great, but like I'm saying, it all sounds great, and neither of us know the future. But like if you get a guy that gets hurt on a kickoff, which is when a lot of injuries occur because you have a lot of collisions, I don't think it's worth the risk to have one return a year, maybe be a touchdown. That's your one home run for the whole year.
I think
it could be the first game and then nothing else, because like you say, all you're really doing is hoping they kick it out of bounds or out the back of the end zone.
I think the kickoff return to start the second half in the Sugar Bowl made a pretty big difference in the course of the season. And Harrison took it back.
I understand. I just don't know if it's worth the risk when you're getting all these. There's so many injuries.
No risk it.
Kickoffs.
No risk it. No biscuit, baby.
I think the offense should be better, that you don't have to worry about the special teams on kick returns.
Let's ride. And like Bobby O'Shea is also saying, like Eric said in the first hour, there were only 17 returns in 16 games last season. I do think that number goes up again when you've got those two guys back there potentially. And as Eric said, and I agree with him as well, I don't think they'll be back there all the time. Like over the course of the game, if you're pulling away from somebody, like you can give those guys a break. You can roll Nolan James out there. You can roll Aeneas Williams or whoever else, Jabron Payne out there. You can switch it up. They don't have to be back there all the time. But if I'm in a close game in the fourth quarter and the other team just scored, I want those two guys back there for the chance that they can take it the distance and maybe put the game away for you. Because they are difference makers with the ball in their hands. I want the difference makers to have the ball as much as possible.
But a lot of that comes down to schemes and blocking as well. So if your kickoff return team isn't doing great anyway, then why would you put those guys back there and risk them getting blown up on a play?
Well, you're making the assumption that they're not doing great. What if they are doing great?
You're making the assumption that they are doing great.
Okay, well,
like the Sugar Bowl, they did that.
I think the numbers.
I would have been wrong on the Sugar Bowl, obviously that mattered. But then I don't know. I just don't like putting my guys at risk if it's not. I don't like them consistently being at risk.
I got you. Point made.
Vince disagrees with me.
It's
I think
football.
we both.
There's risk involved. I mean, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Craig in the chat says save them for the big games. Well,
right.
Who's to say what game's a big game and what's not a big game?
Yeah.
Again, like I want them starting the game and then the flow of the game, how many carries they're getting, how many touches and all those different things. Like all that dictates how much they stay in for subsequent kickoff returns. Now, the other thing is if Notre Dame, like to Eric's point about only 17 kickoff returns last year, part of that also has to do with the fact that Notre Dame's defense was that good last year. So you're limiting opportunities for them, organically to return kickoffs. If Notre Dame's defense is anywhere close to what it was last year, there aren't going to be a ton of opportunities. But again, you've got a first-time starting quarterback. I think you need your best players on the field as much as possible, at least going into the game, and then you adjust as the course of the game goes on.
I just feel like then the other way, like, okay, so now if they're winning, you're going to put other guys back there. They're not used to it maybe because the first half of the game, you had different return guys. I just don't like the thought of switching it up. Just take
So you never put in your reserves on either side of the ball then either?
No, never, ever. No, I just mean like if you can do field position games, and obviously it depends, but like if they're banged up a little, and it's like, well, it's a big spot. Why isn't Jeremiah Love returning kicks? Like you got to use them when you need to. College is so different than it used to be. And there's so many, like I say, so many injuries on the kickoffs because they're just running into each other. I just don't feel comfortable using them and being like, okay, well, he might have got dinged up a little bit earlier, but let's throw him in on this kickoff.
Fill in the blank. It's blank that Jon Gruden says he would die to coach in the SEC.
It's hilarious is where I'm at. It's hilarious.
That's pretty good.
That's where I'm at.
I think he would die to coach, period, is probably what he's saying.
He's doing okay on boxing.
And that's fine. Like, I get it. He wants to – a coach is a coach, right? And he wants to coach. I get it. But, he's doing has a pretty darn nice life just unboxing gear and doing all the different things that he's doing right now. I don't know that I'd be giving that up all that soon. But when you're a coach, you want to coach. And so I get that. If he coaches again – it's going to be in the NFL. He's got a lawsuit going with the NFL right now. I could see somebody picking him up. I could.
I agree with you. I don't know if either of you saw, he did an unboxing the other day of Clay High School.
Oh, I saw it.
Did see it. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, though, because
none of that gear was old.
No, and it all had his name on it.
Right.
Like somebody bought all that stuff. Maybe it was him. I don't know.
I was going to say, I mean, Clay High School obviously closed. Was it actually leftover stuff, or did they make it just to send?
Oh, no.
Well, they made it just to send them.
That stuff did not exist.
Yeah.
That's
Under Armour didn't exist when he was there. And
that's correct.
We've got less than a minute, so I want to make my point on Jon Gruden before Bobby cuts me off again. I will just say, again, I think he is desperate to coach. Like, to your point, Vince, I don't think he's going to coach in the NFL again because of the lawsuit, because of everything else.
Blackball.
So I think that he's trying to get into coaching to whatever highest level that he can, and I think that he thinks that his entry point is the SEC. So that's what I think. Any final quick, Bobby, if you've got anything to say.
No, about that topic, I don't think he's going to coach anywhere. I think that ship sailed.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. It's always quick when we end at 6:40, and it's even quicker when we've got three of us. So have a great weekend. Maybe we find out over this weekend who the starting quarterback is going to be. Question mark.
We shall good about it.
All right, for Bobby Hensley and Vince D'Addario, I'm Sean Stiers. Great stuff in the chat today. We will talk to you next week. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.